We're here at the 6D helmet display, and I'm here with Robert Reisinger. I hope I got that right. Let's talk about this new technology. It is brand new this year, and you guys are making a few waves. Let's talk about these helmets.
Yeah, sure. 6D, we've created a technology called ODS, for omnidirectional suspension, which is fundamentally a technology that allows, it's made up of two EPS liners, so we split the typical liner in a helmet, and it allows us to incorporate a low compliance, low velocity impact absorption, as well as the shear capabilities within the EPS to shear and take up these oblique impact angles to try to rotate or snap your head into a velocity that damages your brain.
And that's kind of one of the things I know is important about this technology is you guys have designed a helmet that's for motocross. So like you said, the low impact, not so much like street where you're hitting the pavement at high speed. This is a specific design for motocross that you guys are talking about, I think.
Well, it's specific for off-road, right. but we still have to pass all of the high velocity pass or fail tests of the ECE, DOT, or Snell, or whatever we're being certified to. And so our certification on our ATR1 helmet is DOT, mandatory for the United States, and ECE. And we specifically chose those two and not do Snell because the crossing over of the requirements and the criteria make a very nice helmet that you can get good compliance out of. Now our low velocity technology is the ODS system, but once that gets squashed down to a complete sandwich and you're just talking EPS to EPS, the EPS takes over as a normal helmet would. So the high velocity impacts are still protected all the way as normal, and some of them significantly improved, but the low area and the shear is what doesn't exist in a typical helmet. And so in the off-road guys who are falling, if you look at like motocross, for example, we just look at the supercross guys, they have an opportunity to fall. They're on the edge constantly and they're falling all the time. The front end loss dropping down, slapping your head on the side. You know, those are the type of cumulative impacts that can cause long-term brain injuries. It also can set the rider up for a bigger concussion or more damage in what might be considered a small impact by having repetitive brain injuries to the brain. All of the riders of the Geico Honda team that we had to talk to interview with before they would accept the helmet in their team were all concerned about concussions because previously they'd had concussions, and they're acutely aware of how that feels. What they don't want to do is go to a helmet that might pose a greater risk for concussion. And once we told them the technology, they got their hands around understanding it, they were in. They said, that sounds great, the helmet looks great, it fits great, it flows air like there's no tomorrow. And because of the technology, we have this air gap that's going all the way around the helmet, so we can freely flow air constantly through the helmet and scavenge out the heat through 13 transfer ports inside. So the helmet has a lot of great features in it, and the ODS is the primary one to reduce the propensity of getting a concussion or a brain injury. And
you were mentioning the Geico team, and I mean, it was what, 2 weeks ago that Eli Tomac had that big crash, and we all saw that head first in, and he walks away with really no effects from that part of the crash. Yeah, absolutely. You know, as much as we don't want them to test it, we know they are our significant test vehicle, because we do laboratory tests and we can't hit people in the head with a baseball bat and have them like us for very long. More or less maybe get thrown in jail for human abuse, but these guys are really it. And so they go out there, and in the 60 days, 90 days or so they've been wearing the helmet and practicing in it. 4 of them did big head plants and sent us back damaged, torn up helmets. And all of them have gotten up and said, a totally different feel. I didn't have any stars, I didn't have any head injuries, I broke my hand, I cut my nose, but Bogle broke his wrist, casing a triple and did a head plant. Zach Bell got scrubbed off his bike, scrubbing on a jump, got his foot caught, got peeled off, flown into the air and did a head plant. Jordan Smith in Atlanta had a high-speed sweeper, got spit over the high side, did a head plant, and then Eli, a week later, does his head plant into the face of a whoop, bounces off of his head and does a flip and comes back around. All of them had the same thing. Eli's dad texted us, and 5 minutes later, the team guys texted us and just said, thanks, the helmet performed. And that's for us is really rewarding, because we need to know how it really feels with the human, because lab is lab, and there's always a little bit of a concern is, what's that really do for the human? And so far, it's proving to be as good or better than we ever expected. Awesome. All right. Well, we are, like I said, a Canadian company, so Canadian fans are going to be wondering, how do they get their hands on these helmets? Are they going to be available in Canada, or where do they go to get them?
Absolutely. 6D is already shipping into Canada. Actually, our first orders just shipped last week. So there's Canadian dealer distributors that are getting those, and so they'll be making their way through Canada in the coming weeks. We're tight on inventory, so it's leaking out slowly, and so we're sold out right at the moment, but in another week we get some more inventory, and 2 weeks after that some more inventory, so it's going to get out there. It'll take a little time, but best thing to do is get your orders in so you're in the queue, because if you just keep waiting for them to show up, it might take a while if you don't get in the queue.
All right, awesome product. Great talking to you. Thanks for taking the time.
Great, thank you very much.